Good morning. It is currently 12:14 on February 28th, and it is time to get to work. It is a very, very early morning start. This is typically when I start on a Saturday and Sunday morning is at this time, and we are currently headed up towards Folsom to get up towards the bar scene up there and do some rides. Start our day off up there. This is typically what I do. I head up here because there's a pretty dense population of potential customers and not a lot of drivers up here. So the competition is pretty low, but we are underway and heading that way. What's going on? First of all, Uber wants me to take a picture, and I can't do that while we're moving. Thank you. I know you're unable to go online, so I have to do that when I stop. But let's take a look at the week so far. We'll catch you up. So there's my week so far with Uber. Not bad. Thursday was a very good day as usual. Thursdays are just always a really good day. Mainly because I drive in the morning and then I drive in the afternoon. And it just works out well. I haven't had a bad Thursday in a long time, and I say that and I need to knock on wood on that one because I don't want to jinx myself. And then here's my week for Lyft. Not much. Lyft is just, again, been paying like shit, really. Let's just be honest. Their ride quality payout has been horrible. So they just have not been getting a lot of action. As you can see on Wednesday, I did do one ride with Lyft. Nor did I do a ride with Lyft yesterday on Friday. And Thursday, I think I only did one or two rides with them, and that was it. So it's been pretty slow with Lyft this week. I can't do rides that are paying, 70 cents a mile all the time, and that's what I'm getting from them. It's not viable for me to do that. So they've just not had any action. On the other hand, Uber's been doing very well. Ride quality has been great, and we're going to continue to maximize that as soon as I can turn the app on when we stop and we get up here to Folsom. But yeah, so the game plan today, and is typical on every early Saturday morning like this for a post Friday night bar scene cleanup, is go to Folsom, clean up there at the bars between now and 2 or 2:30. I do have a reservation this morning at 2:30 here in Folsom, taking someone to the airport, which is going to be ideal because then I can get down to Sacramento into the grid and Thomas and do airport shuttles down there and move people around downtown. And as the morning unfolds, and we'll do that, and then we'll see what happens with the rest of the morning. I have some other reservations in there as well. Actually, I can show those to you going on, which helps out. So there's my airport run right there. I got another one. It's at 5 or 3:40 something. That's another airport. And there's one on this one for 12. That's a new one that just popped in. That's going back to Rancho. I'll have to think about that. Then there's that one. That's a new one too. I'm probably not going to do that one. I do have this one right here already, and that's at 6:30 or whatever that is, 6:25. I may cancel that one because that's kind of going out of the grid, and I don't want to really do that. And then there's this last one here at 7 o'clock, and that's in the grid, and that's doable. Anyway, I've been getting got quite a few reservations last night, before I went to bed. So we'll see. Some of these I probably will not end up doing. I'll end up canceling, depending on what the activity level's like down there in the grid. So we'll see. I did do some more deep diving into my driver strategy with ChatGPT and with Gemini. I actually had Gemini analyze what ChatGPT was telling me, and it came back and kind of confirmed what ChatGPT was saying, and it did say it would make a couple little tweaks or whatever, which was interesting that it said that. But otherwise, it kind of confirmed what ChatGPT was saying, that it's a good strategy, and the focus was good and all that, which was nice. I appreciate that. So at least I know that they're both staying, providing good information when it comes to driver strategy. They really want me to focus on really shorter rides that have a higher dollar per mile rate. In other words, do the shorties in town like I do in the mornings on Thursday, where it's, going a couple miles and getting, $5-6 for that, and having something that's has a $1.85 or a $1.65 per mile rate, and focus on those, and really focus on those all the time, and stay away from the long runs unless it's something like I'm doing this morning, which is getting a ride that's paying me to drive the distance from Folsom to downtown, as opposed to just deadheading it. Because ChatGPT came back and said that, in the mornings, if I don't have a reservation from Folsom to the airport that's paying $35+, which is not very often, that basically I should just deadhead it into town and start my day down there in the grid, versus taking those rides that are paying 75 to 85 cents per mile, and driving in there, which was very interesting. And I think in March, since we're wrapping up February right now, I think in March, I may put this driver strategy that ChatGPT and Gemini have put together for me really to the test over the entire month, and really try to focus on just doing what it says, and not varying what I do, and see how it pays out. Because it's saying, if I focus on those high dollar per mile rides, I can drive less miles, make more money by doing that. And that's true. It's very honest. When I started driving again, when I was driving back in like 2024, that's all I did were the rides down on the grid, that were little shorty rides, that were rides less than 5 miles, just moving people around downtown on a Friday night, that that were paying between, say, at that time, like $4.50 to $6 per ride. And I would do a large volume of those, but I would also drive minimal miles, less, like around 100 miles, to do that, 120. So I went back and looked at my statistics from that time period, and that's kind of what was happening. And I was still making good money. I was hitting my goals, and being very profitable because of that. So I think there's something to it, and I'm gonna have to figure it out. If this strategy is really a good thing to do. So I think in March we're really going to put this to the test. Someone had talked to me, asked me a question about what my prompts are. When we get deeper into the video, I'll make sure that I include a screenshot of like what my general prompt, my initial prompt is to both Gemini and ChatGPT, so you can see that, and I'll put it on the screen, but we'll do that later. In the meantime, you know what we need to do? We need to crack open this monster and get this day started, because I haven't had a drink yet, and I feel like I need it. Always need a good monster. All right, here we go. Oh, God, it's so good. So good. All right, let me take my picture here so I can get started with Uber and get the Uber app on. As you can see, I haven't even gotten a ride yet with Lyft yet. Not even an offer. I don't know what's going on there. I wonder if Folsom's quiet. I wonder if Folsom's dead. I don't know. I may have to go up there and see. All right. Let me get this taken care of with Uber. I'll be back with updates throughout the rest of the morning. And we'll talk some more about using using it. So there's a ride that I'm going to say no to because it's not even $1 per mile. Well, more offers. Let's see what these are. Anyways, I'll be back here with some more updates and stuff like that, and we'll talk a little bit more about using AI to develop your driver strategy. Again, I really think there's something to it, and I think it's something that you should really look into, put your numbers in, and see what comes out for you. I will say this: you can get pretty deep into it, and that I don't know. You can kind of bog yourself down with what a driver strategy or the minutia of a driver strategy with using AI that I think you kind of need to stay away from. You just kind of need to get a structure, something that sounds good, that's going to work for you based on where you're at in your market. It doesn't know everything about your market, I'll tell you that, but it does know a lot. So that really helps out. All right, let me get this taken care of. Let me figure out on these new reservations that have come in if I'm going to do any of them. I'll be back with updates, and we'll see how this day unfolds. Hopefully it's going to be a good, busy, early Saturday morning like it typically is, and we'll make some money, and we'll talk more about AI and driver strategy and anything else that comes up in my head throughout this very early morning drive. All right, I'll be back. All right, quick update. It's 2:08 right now, and just dropped off a passenger. I was sitting there waiting for a ride, and some dude came up and asked me if I would take them home for $40 to Granite Bay. It's like 6 miles away from where I was at. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Little did I know it's going to take the guy like 20 minutes to frickin' pay me because he couldn't, I don't know. He was having problems with everything. Venmo, credit card wouldn't go through on my phone. And then he was trying to Zelle me the money, and then that took like 10 minutes for him to do that. Sometimes those rides just aren't worth the time. I mean, $40 for like 6 miles is great, but I'm like, dude, are you gonna stiff me? Is this what's gonna happen? Are you gonna stiff me on this one? But anyway, it worked out. Now, I am on my way to go pick up my first reservation, which is the one here in Folsom. Unfortunately, I have to take the long way around to get there because there was a head-on collision on the road that I was going to turn on, which would have shortened this ride up, but that's the way it goes. They were cleaning it up. But we're going to get Jim here to the airport, and then that'll transfer me down towards the grid, and then really for the rest of the morning, it's there's a lot of reservations that I'm going to be doing for the rest of the morning, and maybe filling in between if I have some time. But that's where we are right now. So far, so good. The ride quality's been pretty decent, and I can't complain. I did punt on some really good rides going out towards Roseville. There was a couple $25, $28 rides. There was a ride that came up on Lyft, and this is no joke. It came up on Lyft. It was a $99 ride. $99 to go from Folsom to down into the grid in Sacramento. And I tried to match on that ride, and I don't know what happened, but I don't know if someone else got it or Lyft realized what was going on there, because that is I've never seen that before. For essentially a 25 mile ride, it was $99. And I hit the match button. I didn't even see where it was going. I just saw Sacramento, and I hit the match button, and it sat there and spun. And that's when that dude came up and asked me if I would take him to their house for $40. And I'm like, well, you got to hold on a second. I got to see if I get this ride or not. And I didn't get it. I was kind of bummed, but that would have been an amazing ride to go from Folsom to down into the grid for $100. Let's just call it 100. I mean, I've never seen that before. And there was no turbo or anything going on, so I think there was a little glitch in the matrix for Lyft at that point in time, and maybe they figured it out and killed that ride and then put it back out. But anyway, we're on here to get Jim. Continue on with the morning. 2 hours in, been doing pretty well as far as ride quality goes. So we'll see how this plays out for the rest of the morning, and then I'll be back here with some updates throughout the rest of the morning. All right, I'll be back. Alrighty, that's a wrap on a Saturday morning. Been busy with the reservations. They've been kind of back to back. Canceled some, picked some other ones up that made more sense for me, and yeah, just been kind of one right after another, which has been great. Although I did come up, I think, short of my goal, which I never said what my goal was, but it's always $200, which is always, it's been up there for the whole video. But I think I've come up short. Based on my calculations, I'm probably about like $50 short or something like that. But I'll update the total right here. But the main thing that I was really trying to focus on today was really the ride quality, the high dollar per mile, trying to meet the target of what ChatGPT and Gemini are telling me that I should shoot for, which is the low end is like $1.65. The optimal number is $1.85 or higher. And it's very tough because there's a lot of rides that come through that are high dollar rides, like $25 rides, but they're low dollar per mile rides. They're like 75 cents per mile. Now my operating cost is pretty low, which, I mean, I could do those, but basically the logic behind what the AI models are telling me is shooting for those higher dollar per mile means I drive less miles, reach the goal quicker with less miles and wear and tear on the car, which makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, that's kind of what you want to do. Least amount of miles for the most amount of money. And that's why it's saying to target these higher dollar per mile rides. So when I was in Folsom earlier, when I first started, there was 2 rides that came through that were, one was like 25 going to Roseville, one was like 26 or 27. I think that was going up like deep into El Dorado Hills or Cameron Park, which is pretty deep from Folsom. But then again, you know, I would have to turn around and deadhead back into Folsom to get another ride, and that's not what I wanted to do, because that's a lot of dead miles of nothing to get back into where it was busy. So I think there's something to the strategy. There's some other elements to that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to print it off, and then I'll have it, and then we can kind of go through it in more detail, because there's some things that I'm like, oh, that kind of I question. We'll just say that. But overall, I think it's using AI to run your driver strategy through to make sure you're doing the right thing. I think has a lot of benefits to it, to verify, just so you can confirm what it is that you're doing. Does it know everything about your market? No. It makes some assumptions on maybe some old information. Like, for example, it was saying something about specific, like, I don't remember what it was, but anyways, it was making an assumption. Oh, I know what it was. It was basically saying, you know, try to go into where their surge is for Uber. And I went in and I said, you know, look, it's very rare. I mean, it is very rare to see any kind of a surge from Uber at all, like just a blanket surge over an area. What you will see, I said, is you'll see the flash incentives that they add into you to a ride to make it appealing to you to go do that ride, but that's specific just to that ride. And so what it asked for, oh, where's this going? Oh yeah, let's match on that. Yeah, it's got that ride right there going to Fair Oaks. That's going home. See if we get that. Anyway, it's saying, you know, when I told it that there really isn't surge, it asked for, well, can you tell me like what the flash incentives are, you know, for the rides? And I said, so that would be key. So I'm gonna have to start tracking them. It also asked for things like, tell me where the start and the end point is, and the amount of time for the ride. Also wants to know how many kilowatt hours I put into the car when I supercharge and the cost. So then it can help with that element of analyzing the data and that. So it's kind of asking, the more data you give it, I think the better quality the information is going to come out of it, where you can really refine your driver strategy through it. Now, it's a lot of information. It's a lot to track. I already track a bunch of it. It's just, for me, it's adding more information into my spreadsheet. Which, by the way, if you want it, there's a link in the description or on my channel if you want to see the spreadsheet that I use. And I may update it to the new one with some of the other information that I'm going to add onto it. But anyway, that's down there. Anyway, the whole point is this. Run your driver strategy through an AI model and see what happens. And then I will put in the description the basic prompt that I use to start my discussion with the models on my driver strategy. I will put that in the description so you can see what I put in there, just to kind of give you a start on kind of the information that you can provide it to get going. But in the meantime, it's been a pretty decent day. Not too bad. Let's see. I'm driving tomorrow, or driving, Sunday morning, which would be tomorrow morning, and then I'm going to be off for a week. But there'll be a video that comes out in my off time. But anyway, thank you all the new subscribers. Really, really appreciate it. Please, if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. I'd like to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm hoping to get there by the end of March. That would be fantastic. So if you're not subscribed, please hit that button. If there's any questions that you have regarding the use of AI in a driver strategy, please feel free to ask down in the comments, and leave the comments down below. I really appreciate all the comments and feedback that I get. Thank you so much. And most importantly, thanks for watching. Truly appreciate it. And that's going to do it for me. I will be back very soon, and till then, thanks.